12 minutes left. Archangel Michael says your name has been written in heaven. There are only 12 minutes left. 12 minutes for you to understand why your name, exactly yours, the one your mother whispered for the first time when you were still a breath of life in her arms, is being pronounced at this very instant in the highest planes of existence. Archangel Michael does not inscribe just anyone's name in the records of heaven. He inscribes only the names of those who are ready to awaken. And if you clicked on this video, if your attention is here now, if something inside your chest vibrated while reading these words, then know this. This is no coincidence. This is a summons. You have been called. And what I am going to reveal to you in the next few minutes may be, literally, the turning point your soul has been begging for years. Because the truth that no one has the courage to tell you, is that you have spent your entire life asking, pleading, waiting for a miracle that never arrived. And it never arrived not because God abandoned you. It never arrived because you forgot the main secret. You do not attract what you want. You attract what you feel you already are. And this single sentence, if you truly grasp its weight, will split your life in two. There will be a before and an after this video, so breathe deeply, get comfortable, and stay with me until the end, because I am going to teach you the law of assumption, the same law that Neville Goddard transmitted to thousands of souls, the same law that Joseph Murphy deciphered in the basements of the subconscious mind, and the same law that modern quantum physics is only just beginning to describe in equations. Today, here, now, your name will be recognized. Today, you leave the waiting line and step onto the throne of realization. I want you to stop for a moment and look at your life with honesty. No mask, no excuses, no trying to appear spiritualized. Look at it head on. How many times have you knelt? How many candles have you lit? How many prayer chains have you joined? How many novenas have you prayed? How many prosperity courses have you watched? And yet, when you open your banking app, the balance stares back at you with that number that tightens your stomach. When you look at the other side of the bed, the emptiness remains the same. When you think of that child who drifted away, that marriage that broke, that illness that insists on returning, you feel that tightness in your chest that seems to say, perhaps I wasn't chosen. I need to tell you something with all the authority of someone who has studied these laws for decades. You were chosen. You have always been chosen. The problem was never heaven's choice. The problem was your state of consciousness. You were asking from the wrong place. You were begging from the wrong identity, and that is exactly what is going to change now. Imagine with me. Imagine that you are a king, not a beggar. A king. And imagine that this king, having forgotten who he is, lost the memory of his own crown and wanders the streets begging for crumbs. He knocks from door to door saying, please give me food, please give me shelter, please give me a little dignity. And the entire universe, perplexed, watches this king begging, because the universe cannot give a beggar what belongs to a king. The universe can only mirror back what you assume to be. And here is the point that will shake you. You are the king you always were. The I am that dwells within you is the same creative force that said, let there be light at the beginning of time. When Moses asked for God's name before the burning bush, the answer was, I am that I am. And this phrase is not a theological detail, it is the password to the kingdom. Every time you say, I am poor, I am alone, I am sick, I am forgotten, you are taking the holy name in vain. Stop. Now. Stop signing your condemnation with the seal of I am. The law of assumption is simple in its formulation and devastating in its effect. It says the following: assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled, and your external reality will be forced, by an almost mechanical necessity of the universe, to reorganize itself to match your internal state. You don't need to know how, you don't need to control the path. You only need to occupy within yourself the state of the already, not the state of it will happen, not the state of if God wills it, but the state of it is already done, it is already mine, it already belongs to me, I am already the one who has. Neville Goddard taught with a clarity that borders on surgical, prayer is not a request, prayer is an anticipated possession. When Jesus said, believe that you have already received it, and you will have it, he was delivering in a single sentence the entire technology of manifestation. And look at this impressive thing. 20 centuries later, Quantum physics reaches the laboratories, observes particles behaving in absurd ways, and discovers that the observer interferes with the observed. That consciousness alters matter. That what you expect to see, you see. That what you assume as truth materializes in experimental results. Science, after so much resistance, bows before what the mystics have known for millennia. And here enters feeling is the secret. It is not enough to think. Thought without feeling is a bounce check. You can repeat affirmations all day long, you can stick notes on the mirror, but if inside your chest remains tight with fear, if your stomach remains churned with anxiety, nothing moves. Because the universe does not respond to your words, the universe responds to the frequency of your heart, and here science validates the mystic. The HeartMath Institute, after decades of research, demonstrated that the human heart emits an electromagnetic field many times more powerful than that of the brain, and this field extends outside your body. When you feel genuine gratitude, when you feel the warmth of realization, when you feel the involuntary smile of one who has received, your heart emits a coherent vibrational signature, and this signature literally reorganizes the matter around you. You become a magnet, not a metaphorical magnet, an electromagnetic measurable magnet, and what you are being in the frequency of your heart, that is what sticks to you throughout the days. Now answer me sincerely. How many times in the last few months have you sat and felt truly, with an open soul, the joy of what you want? How many times have you closed your eyes and let the smile come? Let the tears of anticipated gratitude roll? Or have you spent the months feeling fear of the bill that is due, anger at the partner who left, resentment of the brother who forgot you, shame for the job you don't have? And then you wonder why the manifestation doesn't happen. It doesn't happen because your dominant feeling is the feeling of lack. And the universe, a faithful servant of the law, delivers more lack to you. Not because it is cruel, because it is exact. You asked, with the frequency of your heart, for what you are living. Now pay very close attention, because I'm going to give you the common error that nullifies 90% of manifestations on this planet. And I will give you this in a few minutes, but first you need to understand one thing, or you won't benefit from the revelation. Stay with me. Stay until the end, because what comes now may be the key that was missing in your entire life. There is a concept that Neville Goddard called the fourth dimension, and he wasn't talking about science fiction. He was describing the state of active imagination, the place where time ceases to be linear and becomes simultaneous. In our common perception, in the third dimension, the past is left behind, the present is this instant, and the future has not yet arrived. But in the fourth dimension, all possibilities exist at the same time. The you who is realized, the you who already has the love, the you who has already healed, the you who has already prospered, they already exist now, in a parallel dimension of your own being. And your job is not to create this version, your job is to tune into it. It is to pull this version into the now through feeling. When you close your eyes and live the scene of the wish fulfilled with such detail that your body trembles, when you smell the coffee in the kitchen of the new house, when you feel the weight of the ring on your finger, when you hear the voice of your child saying, "I love you," after years of silence, you are crossing dimensions. You are creating the bridge of incidence. You are building in your imagination the vibrational bridge that the physical world will be forced to cross to reach you. The bridge of incidence is one of Neville's most underestimated teachings. He said, "The universe will build, between your current state and your wish fulfilled, a series of apparently disconnected events. You won't see the logic while it's happening. It will look like chaos. It will look like nothing is moving. It will look like the universe has abandoned you. But the pieces are reorganizing behind the scenes. That unexpected call from someone you hadn't spoken to in 10 years, that strange invitation to an event you almost refused, that delay on the bus that made you meet someone at the bakery, that random movie that appeared on the screen and touched you in an inexplicable way, all of this, absolutely all of this, are stones of the bridge being placed into position. And your job, the only real job, is not to destroy the bridge while it is being built. And you destroy the bridge every time you return to feeling fear, every time you return to doubting, every time you look at the external world and say, "See, it's not working." Every time you say that, you hit the bridge that the behind the scenes is building for you with a sledgehammer. And here is the mortal error. The error that will explain why so many of your manifestations died halfway. The error has a name, and its name is inner talking. Inner talking is the silent conversation that happens inside your head all day long. It is that background narration, that constant murmuring, that automatic commentary that you don't even realize you are doing. You wake up, and even before opening your eyes, the inner talking begins. Oh, another day, I have to endure this again. Will they call me? Will I make it this month? What if I get sick? What if something happens? And while you drink coffee, brush your teeth, drive to work, this inner talking is pulsing, is building, is reinforcing without stopping. And guess what frequency it emits? Guess what vibrational signature it signs on the electromagnetic field of your heart? The frequency of worry. The frequency of fear disguised as being realistic. The frequency of a state of consciousness of lack. And while you shout a prayer of prosperity to heaven for 10 minutes in your room, you spend the other 23 hours and 50 minutes murmuring in your inner talking your own condemnation. Which prayer do you think wins? The 10-minute one or the 1,430-minute one? That is why nightly reprogramming is sacred. Joseph Murphy taught with absolute firmness, the last minutes before sleep are the most powerful of your existence, because it is in these minutes that your conscious mind, that critical and analytical mind, begins to shut down. And the door to the subconscious mind swings wide open. Everything you let in during these final minutes is sown directly into the fertile soil of the subconscious, where it germinates all night long, where it takes root, where it becomes a program, where it becomes reality. And what are most people doing in these minutes? Scrolling through social media feeds, watching tragic news, watching poisonous arguments, ending the day with resentment toward their boss, with anguish over bills, with longing that hurts. And then they sleep, and they sow destruction, and they wake up and wonder why life doesn't change. Life doesn't change because you are fertilizing the wrong garden every night. Today, starting tonight, you are going to change that. Before sleeping, lie down, turn off the light, place your hand over your heart, and build in a low voice or just in your thoughts a short scene. A scene that implies that your desire has already been fulfilled. Not the scene of the desire being fulfilled. The scene from after. The scene of a normal day already with that thing. For example, you want a new love. Do not build the scene of meeting someone. Build the scene of a Sunday morning 3 years later, in which you are making coffee, and this person enters the kitchen in pajamas, hugs you from behind, kisses your neck, and says some affectionate phrase. Feel the warmth of that hug. Feel the smell of the coffee. Feel the peace of that kitchen. Another example, you want financial prosperity. Do not build the scene of receiving the money. Build the scene of a friend congratulating you on an achievement, or the scene of your child saying, "Mom, Dad, thank you for this trip." Feel the pride. Feel the relief of finally breathing. Feel the lightness. And fall asleep in that scene. Repeat it in a loop, as if it were a short film, until sleep takes you. Do this for 7 nights. Only 7. And tell me if your life doesn't start to run smoothly. I know what you are thinking. You are thinking, this is beautiful, this is poetic, but you don't know my reality. You are thinking about the rent bill due tomorrow. You are thinking about the teenage child who no longer respects you. You are thinking about the husband who leaves early and comes home late, and when he returns, he doesn't even look you in the eyes anymore. You are thinking about your sick mother, that surgery she needs, that expensive doctor. You are thinking that here, with this tax burden, with this unemployment, with this political chaos, manifesting is a luxury for those who don't live the real life. I hear you. I respect you. And exactly for that reason, I tell you, the law of assumption was made for you. Not for monks on top of mountains, for you who live in a rented 2-bedroom apartment in the suburbs, for you who take the bus at 5 in the morning, for you who count coins at the bottom of your purse to afford bread. The law does not choose addresses. The law chooses state of consciousness. And your state of consciousness, my dear, depends on a single decision. Who are you going to obey inside yourself? Are you going to obey the beggar who complains, or are you going to obey the king who assumes? There is a Mrs. Miller in the interior of the Midwest who marked me forever. 58 years old when she discovered these teachings, in debt up to her neck. She worked as a domestic helper in 3 houses. Her husband had died 3 years earlier. She told me something I never forgot. I got tired of asking, I got tired of crying, I'm going to do it differently. Every night before sleeping, I'm going to imagine myself having a coffee on the porch of my own paid-off house with my grandson on my lap. She didn't know how she was going to get it. She barely paid the rent. But she started doing that scene every night, with so much feeling that she often woke up with her face wet with tears. In 11 months, without begging, a sequence of bridge of incidents led her to her own home, financed with installments that fit her budget, with a porch exactly like the one she imagined. And the grandson was born 3 months later. The law of assumption does not work with coincidence. It works with correspondence. There is Mr. Smith, a rideshare driver in New York City. 42 years old, recent divorce, 2 children with his ex-wife, feeling like he had failed at everything. He told me he started doing something strange. Every time he stopped at a traffic light, he would close his eyes for 2 seconds and say to himself, "I am a complete man. I am a present father. I am loved and a lover." Just that. At every red light in the city, for months. He wasn't asking, he was decreeing. And his inner talking, which before was a hell of "I failed, I'm worthless," slowly was replaced by this new narration. In almost a year, without him forcing anything, the relationship with his children was restored in a way he called miraculous. He met a woman on a ride who became his life partner, and financially he entered a small partnership that tripled his monthly income. The city didn't change. Mr. Smith changed his state, and his state reorganized the world around him. Now you need to understand a fundamental thing about persistence, because this is where the defeat of the majority lies. The law of assumption does not fail. It is as exact as the law of gravity. When you drop an apple, it falls, always. But if you drop the apple and before it hits the ground, you run and catch it back in the air, and then drop it again and catch it again, the apple will never hit the ground. Not because gravity failed, because you interrupted the process. Manifestation works exactly like that. You assume the state, you feel it, you sleep with that scene. But on the second day, when the external world remains exactly the same, you despair, you return to doubting, you return to feeling fear, and then you drop the apple and run to catch it again. Persistence is not repeating it many times. Persistence is not leaving the state, even when the external world screams the opposite. It is sustaining the feeling of the wish fulfilled even when the bill arrived, even when the call didn't come, even when the test gave the result you didn't want. It is looking at the chaos and saying, with an almost arrogant calm, "These are just the last evidences of the old world. I have already left it, and the new one is coming to reach me." Imagine that you are on a train. You boarded the train of the new reality. The train has departed, but the landscape you see through the window is still, for a while, the old landscape. The same houses, the same trees, the same streets you have always seen. And the temptation of those on the train is to look out the window and say, "Well, I haven't moved, it's all the same." But the train is in motion, and at some point, without warning, the landscape changes. Your only function inside the train is not to pull the emergency brake. It is to trust in the silent speed. It is to look at the old landscape and say, "Thank you for everything you taught me, but I no longer belong here." Persistence is that. It is loyalty to the new state, even before the external proof. And here I need to tell you something that few teachers have the courage to say. You will have days of falling, days when fear will dominate you, days when the old inner talking will return with full force, days when you will cry in bed thinking that everything was an illusion, that you were mistaken, that this doesn't work for you. These days are normal. These days are, in fact, part of the process. Because the old state does not die without a fight. It fights. It struggles. It tries to pull you back. And your function is not to never fall. Your function is, every time you fall, to get back up. Return to the scene, return to the feeling, return to the I am. Holiness is not in never stumbling. Holiness is in never giving up on the state. 7 times the righteous falls, says the scripture, and 7 times he rises. Rise up, you too. Rise up now, if necessary. Rise up in the middle of this video if your soul feels heavy. Place your hand on your chest. Breathe deeply and decree, "I am the one who receives. I am the one who prospers. I am the one who loves and is loved. I am the one who heals. I am the one who reunites. I am, period." I want to speak to that mother who is listening to me now and who has a distant child, perhaps a child who drifted away because of a fight, because of a life choice, because of a daughter-in-law or son-in-law who doesn't accept you, because of the silence that accumulated over the years. You pray, you ask, you cry, you send messages that aren't answered. Today I ask you to stop asking for their return. Instead, every night before sleeping, do the simplest and most devastating exercise of the law of assumption. Build in your imagination a scene in which the two of you are together on any afternoon for no special reason. A banal scene. The two of you in your kitchen. They are helping you chop an onion. You are laughing at some nonsense on the television. Feel their presence. Feel the warmth of their skin near yours. Feel the sound of their laughter. Do not ask for the return. Assume that they have already returned. Inhabit this reality in your imagination and go to sleep in it. Year after year, mother after mother tells me that this practice reopened doors that seemed welded shut, because while you ask, you sign the separation. When you assume, you sign the presence. And you who are tired of looking for love in the wrong places, I also have a word for you. Stop looking, stop trying, stop forcing yourself to go out, to show yourself, to sell yourself on apps as if you were a product on a shelf. Withdraw, return home, inside yourself, and build the scene of that daily life with the person who doesn't even have a face yet. Don't invent the face. Don't invent the name. Just invent the feeling. The feeling of coming home and having someone waiting for you. The feeling of discussing what to have for dinner and laughing at nonsense. The feeling of the peace of no longer being alone. Inhabit this feeling every night as if it were a reality already consummated. And observe, without anxiety, how the universe, through the bridge of incidents, will bring this person to you, almost always by a path you would never have been able to plan. And you who are suffocated by bills, by financial fear, by this feeling that you never get out of the red, I tell you now with all firmness, your problem is not financial. Your problem is one of identity. You identified yourself as poor. You identified yourself as the one who cannot. And while this is your identity, no raise, no side job, no unexpected money will hold the path, because the universe will always return you to the frequency of your dominant identity. Change the identity. Decree, I am prosperous. I am the one who has more than they need. I am a channel through which abundance passes, blesses, and multiplies. Feel this to the marrow of your bones. Sleep with this. Wake up with this. Do your grocery shopping with this. Pay bills with this, saying, how good that I can pay. How good that this passed through my hands. Change the feeling around money, and money will change its relationship with you. It is relentless. It is inevitable. Now listen to me carefully. I said at the beginning of this video that there are 12 minutes left, and I said that your name was written in heaven by Archangel Michael. I didn't say that to seduce you with pretty words. I said it because I believe, with every fiber of my being, that the human soul, when it enters the correct state of assumption, is literally recognized by the higher planes. The name that is written in heaven is not the name on your ID card. It is the vibrational name. It is the signature of the I am that you emit. And when you assume a state of peace, of confidence, of anticipated fullness, this I am resonates in the invisible planes with such clarity that the archangels, the masters, the forces of light, all of them begin to collaborate with you, not because you were holier than your neighbor, because you became audible. The language of the higher planes is not a language of request. It is a language of recognition. When you recognize who you are, they recognize you back, and your name is placed on the list of those who will receive, because they chose themselves through consciousness. There is a point that I need to make very clear before this video ends. The law of assumption is not selfishness. It is not a tool for you to accumulate goods while the world falls apart. It is, in fact, one of the most spiritual tools that exist, because it demands a maturity that few have. It demands that you stop blaming the external, stop waiting for the president, the economy, your husband, your boss, your mother, fate to do something for you. It places you alone, before your own creation. And when you assume responsibility for your state, you automatically become a lighthouse. People begin to notice a different calm in you, and these people begin to approach to ask how. Your manifestation ceases to be personal and becomes a service. I want you to understand deep down that every minute you spent watching this video was a sacred minute. It wasn't entertainment, it was consecration. I gave you what I have that is most valuable. I didn't give you an empty promise. I gave you a spiritual technology of over 2,000 years, validated by mystics, proven by physicists, tested by people like Mrs. Miller, like Mr. Smith, like thousands of anonymous people who decided to stop begging and start reigning. Now the choice is yours. You can close this video, go back to the feed, go back to the toxic news, and tomorrow be exactly where you are today. Or you can take what I gave you and apply it. Tonight, not tomorrow. Before sleeping, you will build a small, simple scene of the wish fulfilled, and you will sleep feeling it. Just this small decision, repeated 7 nights in a row, will start to crack your reality. Not in the way you expect, in a better way. And at this moment, I ask for one thing. This request may sound small, but spiritually it carries enormous weight. I ask that you like this video, and I ask that you subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. But I need you to understand what this gesture means today in this context. The like you give now is not a mechanical click. It is a decree of acceptance. It is you saying with the gesture, with your finger, with your will, I accept what was said. I accept the state that was given to me. I accept the truth that my name is written in heaven. I accept leaving the waiting line. And the subscription to the channel in the same way is a decree of continuity. It is you saying, I want to continue being reminded week after week of my true identity. I want this voice, this mentor, this transmission to continue reaching me. I will not abandon this path. Make this gesture now. Not as an obligation to a content creator, but as an alliance with your new reality. And while your thumb presses the like button, decree in silence, I am the one who receives. I am the one whose name has been recognized. I am the one who leaves lack and enters the kingdom. I am. And that's it. The seal is placed. I am not going to promise you that everything will change tomorrow. I don't promise you a deadline. I am not God, but I promise you, with all the certainty of someone who has studied and applied these laws for decades, that from the moment you change your state of consciousness, from the moment you occupy the feeling of the wish fulfilled and sustain it with persistence, from the moment you begin to watch your inner talking, from the moment you visit the 4th dimension every night before sleeping, your life cannot continue the same. It is a physical impossibility. It is a spiritual impossibility. The bridge of incidents begins to be built the instant you assume the state, and the universe is forced, by a law as exact as mathematics, to deliver to you the external equivalent of what you sustained internally. Before closing this meeting between us, I want to leave one last image in your soul. Imagine that at this very instant, on some plane that our eyes cannot reach, there is a book, a large, ancient, brilliant book, with pages that seem made of light. And in that book are being written now the names of those who have awakened, the names of those who dared to assume, who had the spiritual courage to say, in the middle of apparent scarcity, I am abundant, who had the courage to say, in the middle of evident loneliness, I am loved. And your name today at this instant is being written there. Your soul knows if you dare to listen. You have been summoned. Archangel Michael does not summon in vain, and the work from here on out is yours. I have already fulfilled my part by giving you this transmission. Now it is up to you not to abandon the state. It is up to you to sleep tonight in the new scene. Wake up tomorrow sustaining the frequency of the already. Correct the inner talking every time it tries to return to the old. In a few days, or in a few weeks, you will whisper to yourself in the mirror, it happened. Life turned around. And on that day, pass it on. Share this video with that friend who is sinking, with that brother who lost his faith, with that mother who cries every night. Because the law of assumption is like the light of a candle. When you light yours, and use that light to light others, yours does not diminish. The entire temple is illuminated. I bless you at this moment. I bless you with the abundance that is already yours, with the love that already belongs to you, with the health that already dwells in your cells, with the peace that is already your natural state. And I remind you one last time that you don't need to ask anymore, you don't need to plead anymore, you don't need to wait anymore. Everything you need, you already are. The I am dwells in your chest. The law of assumption is the path. Feeling is the secret. Persistence is the key. The fourth dimension is the room where everything is created. And your name at this very instant is written in heaven, in letters of light, waiting for you to dare to look in the mirror tomorrow morning and say, without fear, without apologizing, without backing down, I am. And so it is, and so it already is, and so it always was. Amen.